style is your own way to solve these problems, and that comes when you practice a lot.
Today on Wet on Wet podcast, I'm joined by Adrián Marmolejo, a Spanish watercolor artist based in Granada, known for his large-scale cityscapes and a powerful sense of perspective. Trained as an architect, Adrián brings structure, depth, and clarity into a medium often associated with delicacy. In this conversation, we talk about painting big in watercolor, working wet on massive formats, tone over color, and why Adrián believes a painting is ultimately a problem you have to solve. What is perspective and why is it so important?
It doesn't matter how well you paint, but if you're gonna be a figurative artist and you're gonna paint cityscapes, drawing is the skeleton, is the most important part.
Is there any tools or tips or exercises you'd help?
The horizontal line should be at the height of your eyes, and then from there you have to try to imagine that you have like a laser tag, and that's giving you all the heights and the steepness of the different perspective lines. And
when you go to a new place, what are you looking for in a subject?
Well, I'm really attracted to like this endless perspective where the vanishing point is really far away. Okay, but if you've been painting a while, then you have your own way of solving things.
How do you decide what to pick, what not to pick?
I work in two layers instead of three to speed up this process a little bit. But on the first layer, I put the lightest values with big washes, and then I work a little bit more wet into wet to put some medium values, but they're not really shadows. Shadows come on the second layer.
How did you approach galleries and competitions and other things?
I have exposed myself in social media. I have won some competitions by working a lot.
What are the most common things you see people making mistakes?
Not being, perspective. Sometimes they draw the scenes as if they were looking from above. Like the figures in the foreground, they are lower, the heads are lower than the ones in the background. Sometimes they paint really, really, really pale washes, or sometimes they paint as if it was an oil painting,
Where are you based, Adrián, right now? Are you in Spain, somewhere in Spain?
Yeah, I'm in the south part of Spain. It's Granada.
Granada, yeah.
It's in the community of Andalusia.
Yeah. So, no, beautiful part, yeah. Because I am in Cambridge, so we go to Spain more than
Cambridge. Okay.
Yeah. So we go to Cambridge more than enough times, and then every time we look for a different region, and then of course south of Spain. Good
Have
food.
You been here?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I've been to Cambridge too a long time ago, but I've been there.
Yeah. Cambridge is it's a good place, but it's not the weather-wise. You got to be lucky, because if you come in winter, it's a bit dull and miserable. But other than that, it's
English weather is
it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's especially for an engineer, it's a good place to be in, right? So it's like
so you're an engineer, yeah.
I'm a mechanical engineer, but also I do watercolors and other things. This is a good place to be.
Yeah. I think I've seen something. I studied architecture.
I know. Yeah, absolutely.
We're kind of related. Yeah,
we're kind of related. So I just say, Adrián. So we were kind of already kickstarted, but I just want to again just say what a pleasure to finally have you. I've been trying to connect with you for many months now. So finally we got to meet, and then I'm excited.
No, it is true that you told me to have this chat and so on. I was really happy about it, and moreover when I saw all the great artists that you have had interviewed. So for me it was a pleasure that you also thought about me. So thank you again. And then I am always in a rush with a lot of work, and it's not because of course I wanted to be with you earlier, but time goes by, you just keep on working, and then when I received your email again, it was like, oh nice, now we can have the opportunity, so let's do it.
No, listen, I'm just happy to have you. It doesn't matter, because people have got busy life, especially with watercolor and other things. People have their own schedule which is booked months in advance. I understand that most of the classes and other things, right? But Adrián, for somebody who hasn't seen your work or doesn't know much about you, could you just introduce yourself, what you do, and how would you call your style of painting, if there is a style?
Yeah, well, my name is Adrián Marmolejo. I'm a Spanish artist. I've been living in Spain my whole life. I spent a couple of years in Belgium. Well, just talking about Belgium because it was like a turning point. Because I studied architecture, there was not so much work here. and then I decided to go to work to Belgium, and there I spent a lot of time alone. Also, the weather at home, and I started painting a lot watercolors. So after a while, I said like I've been painting my whole life, but I started with watercolors then since I was inside my studio. Well, it's not a studio, my flat, but it's like a studio, like the small kitchen and so on. I couldn't have so many um, oils or other kind of bigger work, so I started with watercolors more. And after a while, I was like, oh, I really like this, so let's give it a try. And then little by
Mhm.
little, I started getting into this watercolor world, and yeah, here we are.
So how long you been on doing watercolor before oil
Yeah,
and
that's about that was like 10 years ago or something
10
like
years
that.
ago?
I've been through other techniques. So I've been drawing and painting my whole life since I was a child. First with pastels, pencils, and so on. Then acrylic, oils. I guess that a lot of artists have also been through this path. But yeah, I'm a really nervous and spontaneous person, and when you get into watercolor and you can build your scenes with the light and the perspective, and that's fast, and it's so so charming. So you want to do it again and again and again. So
Mhm.
that's why I stayed with watercolor. Yeah.
Watercolor. Now, there's so many questions like I could ask from here, right? First of all, how old were you when you started drawing other things? Do you remember your early years? Was it your parents who encouraged you, or were you always inclined towards painting and drawing?
Yeah, well, you start drawing castles, dragons, and so on. In my
Hmm.
case, when you're a child, 4 or 5 years. Then after that, since I did it a lot,
Hmm.
my parents, sorry, told me to go to some kind of academy there in my hometown. In the beginning, they didn't accept me in an academy because everybody was like above 18, and I was
Hmm.
only 5 6 years. So in the end, they ended finding a spot with a Belgian artist.
Sure.
Her name was Annette, and she loved painting plein air. She had like a really nice house in the outskirts of my hometown, like full of nature and a river crossing by. It was like a beautiful place, and there we painted a lot. Yeah, plein air. She took us to different spots. So I really fell in love with plein air painting since really uh, really early age. Yeah.
So when was this? When you met your Belgian artist Annette? What's her full name? Annette.
Annette, yeah, yeah. She already passed away because
Oh, okay.
when I started with her, she was like 70 something.
Oh, okay.
So she was pretty old, but I don't know why. I think she saw something in me,
Hmm.
and she decided to take me to her classes. The rest of people were a bit older, also young students,
Yeah.
and we formed a community. We even traveled to. I don't know, Paris, Barcelona, to see museums, do some exhibitions. So yeah, that was I was really lucky to enter this art world really young.
Hmm.
Then it's true that I stopped for a while because I decided to study architecture. So I came
Hmm.
here to Granada, where I live currently. But I just draw sometimes and so on. But I didn't really have the time to keep on painting a lot. And it was just only after I started working as an architect, and I realized that I liked it, but it wasn't totally for me.
Hmm.
That I decided to give it a chance to this art. Uh, yeah, and especially watercolor world.
Watercolor. So, are you 100% a watercolor artist right now? You don't get into architecture at the moment.
No, it's been like since 2017 or so on.
Oh,
Since I
okay.
came
Long
back
time.
from Belgium, I'm a
Hmm.
full-time artist because,
Yeah.
yeah, I decided, here in Spain, we have a lot of plein air painting and awards and contests.
Yeah.
Like we used to paint big formats, and there is like a kind of a circuit where we travel around the different regions and
Yeah.
paint almost every weekend.
Yeah.
So, there you have a kind of a source of income if you're lucky and you're good.
Yeah.
then also giving classes and entering watercolor association. So yeah, little by little you find different sources of income, and in my case, I've been able to live
Yeah.
from this. Yeah,
Now, but one of the things which stands out a lot is everybody, when they look at plein air, they're usually doing a quarter sheet or a half a sheet, right? But
yeah,
you are one artist, I don't think I've ever seen you do like not only a full size, you do a much bigger. So you probably you buy a roll and then you cut out a piece.
yeah. We
You
work
are
with
known for really huge paintings and then also doing plein air, right? That itself is
yeah.
like it stands out a lot. I don't think anybody I've seen anybody who's carrying around such huge easels just to paint a plein air.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think this is it has nothing to do with quality, because I find that you can have quality in every size of work. You
yeah.
know, recently we were in Almeria this last week. There was
Mhm.
an international watercolor meeting with well, you know, Andy Evansen attended,
Yeah,
also
yeah,
Praful Tawant. They were invited, and I could meet them in person. It was really nice. But it's true that they don't really paint in big formats. I mean, their quality is exceptional,
yeah,
but and I think that if they started doing it, they will, of course, master the technique and the size. But it's true that through watercolor, I mean, there is not people are not used to paint in bigger sizes. I mean, it's like the medium is not it's not for this.
yeah,
We're used to paint the smaller sizes, so we can connect all the I don't know, all the washes, all the
yeah. The shapes and other things. Yeah,
but if you use bigger brushes, if you use more paint, I think that we can also be able to paint in on bigger
yeah.
formats. And as you said, here in Spain, this is quite common because we have all this circuit of plein air contests, and people are used to paint in bigger formats and
Hmm.
so on. So you have to adapt. You know, if you want
Yeah.
to get your work noticed, you have to try to adapt and paint on bigger formats and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but in UK, you're forced to do is because of the weather, because it's either raining or it's too windy. So you're always looking for how can I best anchor my frame? Because as much as you're painting, you're thinking about how warm to dress or how cold it's going to be, and then those are the kind of things. Especially, uh, it's a logistic challenge. I think most of the people like Andy
Yeah.
Vinson or Praful and other things they carry around is because it's convenient for them to do than the skill, I feel. But are you particularly drawn towards big paintings? Because when I look at your paintings, you love cityscapes. I can see from
Mhm.
your work and other things. So could you just talk about is that architecture which makes you pick cityscapes? Is it because it's easy for you to draw? Why are you drawn towards a particular subject?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. I think that practice also makes you be better at something. But on the other hand, for example, if you're not so interested in a subject in particular, you don't really
Mhm.
develop and get better
Mhm.
on this subject. In my case, it's about portraits and still life and so on. I'm
Yeah.
not really. I mean, I'm interested, and when I see a good portrait, it's like, wow, how have you been able to do this? But in my case, I don't feel like particularly attracted to these kind of subjects.
Mhm.
Maybe it's my background as an architect. Since I was a child, I was always trying to design and draw places
Mhm.
and cities and so on. It's I think it's something that comes with you, and that's where you put your effort to paint it and to become better doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, but yeah, I mean, again, we talked about perspective. Can we just talk a little more about somebody who is new to painting? How could one get better at perspective? For somebody who doesn't know what perspective is, could you just explain? Because you're an architect, probably just in a simple words, what is perspective and why is it so important for somebody to master that?
Yeah, as many watercolor artists and great masters say. I mean, I once attended Joseph Spucci's
Hmm.
workshop. Sorry, that was in 2017 when I was living
Mm,
in Belgium.
yeah,
So I was like new to this world, and I said, okay, he's coming here. I really have to have the opportunity to learn from him. And it's true that we're smaller sizes. You know that the thing of
yeah,
bigger sizes came later. I think that plein air, as I wanted to tell you before, is much better with smaller sizes. It's much more comfortable. You know, if you have to transport small. you can have everything on a bag, and I still do it when I go out here with my friends here in Granada. We still
Yeah.
do small works. It's just the other thing of making bigger paintings for competitions and so on. And answering your latest question about perspective and drawing, yeah, Joseph said, and many artists say, of course, that it doesn't matter how well you paint, but if you're gonna be a figurative artist and you're gonna paint cityscapes, drawing is the skeleton, is the most important part of the drawing. That really has to be at least okay, has to be good, because otherwise you're not gonna end up with a good painting.
So how would one, because I know you teach a lot, you've been a student yourself, how would one practice? Is there any tools or tips or exercises you'd help people to
Yeah, I think
get
that
better
the
at drawing?
the most important thing is to practice, of course, but also to have the concepts a little bit clearer. I always try to explain that the horizontal line should be at the height of your eyes, and then from there you have to try to imagine that you have like a laser tag, and that's giving you all the heights and the steepness of the different perspective lines. And yeah, students tend to understand it in the beginning, and when they are copying the demo that you have done in a workshop or something, they are quite okay. But I don't know why, when they leave your workshop and they go again to their own paintings,
Mhm.
uh, sometimes they kind of forget these basic concepts. And I think it will be really important for them to keep this in mind, to really understand it, and to put it in practice when they paint on themselves.
Yeah.
That will be the important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you generally do a value sketch before you paint on your own process when you paint a large painting, or you just you're
Well, if
confident and
I
then
if I
you?
tell you the truth, I used kind of a reduced palette, not
Yeah.
so many colors. I focus more on tone
Yeah.
than on color. So sometimes I even go for the final painting without really doing a value sketch when
Hmm.
I'm really clear about the tones and so on.
Yeah.
But when it's a more difficult scene or a really big format or something, then I try to do a value
Yeah.
sketch. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very important because your paintings, you're talking about tone. So is that a conscious choice why you don't pick lots of colors? You just focus on few colors and lots of tones, tonal values within that one.
Yeah, well, I try to work with grays,
Yeah.
because well, in reality, when I'm looking now through my window, when I look through my window, I don't know, I don't see so many colors. Sometimes I see watercolors full of 20, 30 colors. Oh, I mean, I think that sometimes, of course, there is color in
Hmm.
life, but when I look at reality, I see more tones than color. And in watercolor, for sure, tone is more important than color. So that's why I try to focus on that. When I build up my grays, I always try to use blues and I don't know, burnt sienna or earthy colors,
Hmm.
Van Dyck brown, transparent orange. It doesn't matter, wide range of colors. But in the end, I end up with some grays. The
Yeah.
important thing is that those grays have different kind of shades, so they don't look like dead. But
Yeah.
I always try to explain to my students that if you look to a scene, there is always, okay, you can have a really bright, saturated color, but sometimes it's going to be that color. Let's focus on that color, and the rest, let's make it to be around this, to try to build this scene around this. If you have a really, I don't know, an oni, a really red oni, okay, put a really nice red or orange there, and then try to build the rest of the scene related to that. Because if you put a really bright and saturated red and then a turquoise and then a yellow, then it becomes like a party of color. And it can be good, but sometimes I think that when you do this, you forget about the light. There's so many colors competing within each other that it's impossible to look at tones, at values, at depth. Sometimes these concepts dilute, and
Hmm.
they are really important, and they dilute when you use too many colors. That's, yeah, my honest opinion about this.
That's your approach. And then how do you pick a subject? Do you have a particular way to think about how do you pick subjects, or you have that already in your mind when you go to a new place? What are you looking for in a subject?
Well, I'm really attracted to like this endless perspective where the
Yeah,
vanishing point is really far away.
yeah,
So it's like I know it's something that's been done for a century since they invented it in the Renaissance. You know, it's yes, fumato and so on. Italian school. It's already been a while, but I don't know. Sometimes when I do it and you put a wet in the end and you contrast it with strong values on
Mhm.
the foreground, it's like for me it's like kind of magic. I'm always attracted to repeat this again and again because something that also happens to me and in watercolor particularly is that you never like even if you do it and do it again and again, you never like capture it. You never capture this sense of depth and perspective
Yeah,
clear, totally.
yeah,
So it's like you need to do it again. That's what
yeah.
happens to me.
No, but yeah, absolutely correct. And then also, what I wanted to mention is, like, because you're not the first architect who has gone into painting, right? I hear, because I've been just talking to a lot of artists. Thomas Scheller, he's an
Yeah,
architect,
yeah,
become an artist. Lauren McCracken, he was an architect, now he's a hyper realistic painter. And there are a lot of
yeah,
people who come from a different background. And especially if you talk to people with a little older artists, they usually come from art, but they come from illustrations. So they, because that's the way to make money, because watercolor wasn't seen as a way to make money, but they come through
hmm,
uh, the strong contrast. What I like from illustration, people coming from illustration, other things, they're always thinking about what is the strongest contrast, right? Like Don Weller, and especially when you look at Andy Evanson's paintings, he's
yeah. He
got,
talked about being
yeah,
a medical illustrator, yeah, something
yeah,
like that.
it's very, very strong because his paintings look simple, but he's very a master of trying to make sure that it has a connecting shapes and then also a strong
Yeah,
contrast.
yeah, yeah.
It's very interesting when you look at different people, right? And then over a period of time, now when you have a unique style. When I look at your painting, I can say that that's your style, right? There's a lot of earthy tones, very muted tones, but they're still very distinctive. And then there's the other end when you look at Alvaro Castagne. He's extremely strong contrast, but very big bold lines.
Mhm.
There is a lot of people are still doing the same kind of painting, but such a different style. That's what excites me about watercolor is you could be painting the same thing over and over again and still come up with a slightly different painting.
Yeah, I
While
think that no, no, I was just gonna say. I think that the style comes with the practicing. So when you
yeah,
start, you start copying some, I don't know, some references, some artists that you admire. But I mean, I always say to my students that a painting is a problem you have to solve. I mean,
yes,
between things happen, but in the end, you have to try to solve it. So
yeah,
sometimes in the beginning it's like chaos, and then you start looking for things, and in the end, you solve it.
yeah,
So style is your own way to solve these problems, and that
mhm,
comes when you practice a lot. In the beginning you try to solve these problems copying how other guy did it, but when you have been doing this for, I don't know, they say about there is like I say that you say that for master something you need 10,000 hours. I don't know if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
true or more or less. Okay, but if you've been painting a while, then you have your own way of solving things, and this changes on time with time, of course. It changes with time, and yeah, in my case, I think my style has come with practicing and with painting in my own way.
Yeah.
Of course, this is always evolving because sometimes I think, okay, I'm getting too stiff, or sometimes this is too loose. I need to build up a little bit. So they're like phases in your career, and you go from here to there, and so on. Yeah,
No, but I like the what you said. A painting is a problem to solve, right? I
yeah,
can completely relate to that one, especially coming from engineering point of view. I'm always trying to solve the problems, right? I'm just trying to think about how can I solve it, than trying to do think about it. But that's a beautiful way to explain a painting. It's a problem to solve. How do you
yeah.
talk about reducing the complexity in a painting? So when you look at a painting, how do you decide what to pick, what not to pick? And the
Well, in my case, contrast and shadows help me a lot with
Mhm.
this because
Okay.
So I paint normally in two layers. On the first layer, well, people always talk about light values, medium values, and strong values. So medium
Mm-hmm.
values will be like the shadows that connect everything,
Mm-hmm.
probably the most important part of the painting.
Mm-hmm.
Light values will be the first washes, and then stronger values will be the final details and touches. In my case, I work in two layers instead of three
Mm-hmm.
to speed up this process a little bit. But on the first layer, I put the lightest values with big washes, and then I work a little bit more wet into wet to put some medium values, but they're not really shadows. Shadows come
Yeah.
on the second layer when this has dried, and I try to make my first layer totally wet into wet. So
Okay.
there, I try to adapt to the color that I can see in the on the scene. You know, so okay, if a building is orange, I try to connect it wet and wet, but this is a bit more orange, this is a bit more bluish, and so on. But everything connected. Then some wet into wet effects, and on the second layer, I go for shadows, and shadows are the one that help me to connect everything. And
Mm-hmm.
once you finish your shadows, uh, is when you can see if your painting has been successful or not. Then
Mm-hmm.
details on jewelry is something apart that you can spend a huge amount of time or not. But the essential are these two layers in my case, and that's how I try to simplify. Always trying to look for a small contrast between I don't know two sides of a building or something. Even if it's a gray day as the one we have now, there's always a facade that is lighter than the other one because, in contrast, sadly, you need
Yeah.
difference in tone between the different parts of the paint. It's the only way of creating volumes by having at least a slight contrast between two different parts in a painting. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a part of the day did you generally like doing a lot of plein air, or do you generally do studio these days?
Well, it depends on the work. When I do really big, because I divide my work. I divide in plein air work. This I do in plein air contests, the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and so on. When I go out with the mates to loose up a little bit. But then I also have a body of work that is more studio related with bigger formats, and it doesn't really make sense to do it plein air, of course, because it's kind of invented. You know, this vertical
Yeah.
series that I do, full of like dystopic
Mm.
atmospheres and buildings and so on, uh, comes from my mind and some references. So yeah, this is more a studio approach, like
Yeah.
longer process and bigger formats. And it's also interesting because sometimes it's more personal. You know, it's like
Yeah.
your own way of doing things.
Yeah. So how's your day look like? It and do you are you a morning person, afternoon person? How does a typical day look like for you?
The truth is that I have my online lessons
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays
Yeah.
afternoons, and the rest of the week I try to go to the studio at least
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, one day or two in the afternoon, in the morning, depends when I have time, and I try to paint a little bit on this other kinds of work and so on. So these online lessons, I do it at home with the internet and the smaller formats and so on. And then when I go to the studio, I do other kind of
Yeah.
work. Um, and then on the weekends, I attend these kind of plein air awards. That
Yeah.
will be mainly what I do. Then I also have some commissions that I need to do, or
Yeah.
uh, to prepare an exhibition for a gallery or something.
Yeah.
But answering your question, I have like these fixed online lessons, but the rest of the week is I kind of adapt depending on what I have to do. Yeah,
Yeah. But it's safe to say that you almost paint every day. So sort of.
yeah, one way or another. Some days I rest,
Yeah.
uh, but almost paint every day. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could say so. At least 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel you getting burned out, or you still enjoy, or do you feel a need for taking a break sometime?
Well, this is a good question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel a little bit. tired of always, like because it's true that the good thing, the the ideal thing will be to I don't know, to have people come into your studio all the time. You paint what
Yeah.
you want, what
Yeah.
you feel like to paint. I try to do it, so I think that I paint things that I like. But on the other hand, I had to send my work to a lot of places, to
Mhm.
exhibitions and to contests and so on. Try to get my work prized, so I get some feedback. You have to live on this. Also,
Yeah.
the same with the planner contest, online lessons. You have to try to keep your students. So when a hobby or when something that you like becomes work, it also has its downside, because
Yeah.
it's not just that you do it freely, but you have to do it as a work and get some benefit from it.
Yeah.
But I try to sometimes go out with friends, plan, paint without any kind of pressure or compromise. Try to do different things,
Mhm.
and otherwise you get burnout.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to recognize. I think that every artist will agree with me that you feel a bit tired about always having to. I mean, when you master something like cityscapes, when you always paint in cityscapes, you can get tired from this. You have to try to
Mhm.
find another approach, or try not to repeat yourself too much, because otherwise you're a slave of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
this
so
is
what
a
does
deep.
Adrian do for time off other than hanging out friends? Do you have any other hobby or other things you like to do on a?
Yeah, yeah, do other things than painting. Of course, painting other things, as I told you, but yeah, also
Yeah.
I also enjoy, uh, as everybody, going out with friends and
Yeah.
sport.
So while we
Yeah,
are on that subject, how do you motivate yourself, Adrian, when sometimes there's a commission which you have to do it, but you're not 100%. So what's your self-thought talking like? So how do you talk to yourself
well, the
to
truth
change?
is that when I've been asked to paint portraits and dogs and still life and so on, but I say no to that
Yeah.
because I don't really feel attracted to that, and I said no. Actually, when somebody tells me that, I say, okay, I know this guy is a friend of mine who is better than me doing this, and he will enjoy it more than me.
Yeah.
So the good thing is that when you are good at something like I don't know, cityscapes and landscapes, in my case, people try to contact you for doing this. So
Yeah.
I always try to keep motivated about what I do, because in the majority of cases, commissions that I get and so on are nice to do them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 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 absolutely. Because it's like, yeah, you need to know Charlie Munger. So he's like one of the famous investor, right? He always talks about working with your area of competence. First of all, you need to know what your area of competence, and then you stick with that area of
Yeah.
competence. So that's what he kind of talks about it. And I completely understand the point about burning out, right? I used to paint a lot about Cambridge scenes. These days I don't take any commission from Cambridge is just because I know I'm not going to enjoy painting it, and if I don't enjoy
Yeah.
it, it will show in the painting, and I just stop painting Cambridge scenes. Is just purely because I've done it so many times. Because every summer there is always a graduation, a New Year graduation, so that's the time when a lot of parents want to buy a painting of their kids' college and other things. It's just it just saturates at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good thing. The truth is that here we have this Moorish palace, La Alhambra.
Yeah,
You've probably been there. I haven't painted the Alhambra so many times, because
yeah,
it, in the beginning I did it, and it's not for me anymore. There are a lot of different corners in Granada than
yeah,
painting the Alhambra. And I
yeah,
also wanted to say something that I find interesting, that when you have been painting a lot of years the same kind of I don't know, views or composition or perspective, in the
yeah,
beginning I think that you feel motivated because it's something new, and
yeah,
you have to try to solve that problem. And I also study a little bit a master's in education, and it says that sometimes not self-esteem, but like when you find yourself solving a problem, and then when
yeah,
it's something new and you have overcome that challenge, you
yeah,
feel good you
yeah,
know but when you've been doing this so many times and so many years, it's
yeah,
like, okay, you like automatize the process. Yeah, you
yeah.
understand.
Yes, yeah,
So it's not. a challenge anymore, so you feel more bored doing it, and you don't feel that good when you finish to do it. That is why I think you, even if you're good at doing something, and of course, why should you do something else if you're well known uh, by painting? I don't know, in my
Yeah.
case, cityscapes, and you do it good, and people want this from you. Okay, you've earned it, but try to do small changes, like I don't know, different composition, a different range of colors,
Mhm.
different light scenes. So in my case, I try to do this, like make small adaptations that tend to be small problems that I need to solve, and then I feel better than always copying the same scene. Like, okay, for contests and so on, you do it because you're not gonna go far away home and spend money staying at hotels and painting for a competition and not doing what you know that is gonna be good. But at least sometimes try to change something and keep motivated.
Absolutely. So while we're talking about competition and other things, do you have any good advice or any advice on how should the one get into competition, or how's your process of trying to get? Think about when you were early on. How did you approach galleries and competitions and other things? Is there anything which you could have done it better, or something we can learn from doing it slightly different?
Well, in my case, the truth is that I haven't approached a gallery directly. So
Okay.
I have exposed myself in social media. I have
Yeah.
won some competitions by working a lot.
Yeah.
And the truth is that the 3, 4 galleries that I work with along Spain, well,
Yeah.
the first thing that please don't pay for exhibiting. If you want to be a
Yeah.
serious artist, the
Hmm.
correct thing, at least from my point of view, is that the gallery, okay, they stay with a commission. This can be 30, 40, 50%, depends on the place and the gallery, but they have to make the work to sell your art. Okay, they have the work to sell it, and then they get a commission if they sell. But don't pay for exhibiting, because otherwise the gallery has already given taken the money. Different if it's a fair, an international fair, the fees are really high, so sometimes the, the cost has to be spared between the artist and the gallery. Okay, I
Hmm.
understand that perfectly, but if it's a gallery and a regular exhibition, I think that gallery should do the work of selling your work if they
Hmm.
really believe in you. Otherwise, they're just trying to get money by for the entrances, and you
Yeah.
end up exhibiting with a lot of different works from different artists of not such a good quality, I would
Hmm.
say, because people that accept doing this understand, because in the beginning you have to do it, but it's better to keep on working with yourself,
Hmm.
and the good opportunities will come a bit later, I think. And as for the other thing was, as for competition and so on, how do you
Hmm.
get good and so on? Well, this I've been debating a lot with friends lately. I think that not everybody is good at the same thing. For example, some artists are good with color, some
Hmm.
artists are good with drawing, some artists are good with composition. So, and then there are also different subjects. I don't know, landscapes, portraits. We all know. So, I mean, it looks quite basic knowledge and really logic, but not everybody puts it in practice. I mean, if you're not good with drawing, why would you get into a complex urban cityscape and present it to a competition? I've seen that several times. Okay, please be aware and be critical with what you're seeing of your work. And okay, this is not good yet. I'll try to master it with time if I really like this subject. But if you're better with color and so on, why not do something more abstract or go into another kind of subject? Because when you know your strength is when you can take the most of you. Because
Hmm.
I have some friends that are the opposite. They are really good. They're not so good on drawing and classical painting, but they have developed, I don't know, some other different kind of style, more conceptual, or I don't know, other different kind of work, and they are doing really, really good because they are aware of their strength and they are going in that direction. And that's a really important lesson, I think, that we need to learn. Yeah,
Yeah, now this is a very good point you made, Adrian. But if somebody is picking up something new right now,
yeah.
especially with this day and age, especially with AI and other things, what's your thoughts on AI? First question, and second question is, like, if people are picking up art, what should they pick at the moment? So because there's so much easily available social media and generation of things. So what would your thoughts on art school, especially people need to still make a living out of that because it's not just a passion, but you want to do something, you still need to make a living out of that and then excel in that if possible. So how would you think about AI and school these days?
Well, but what do you mean with AI? Having AI as a reference for your
So
pictures?
whatever. So are you pro AI or what, are you concerned about AI? Do you use much?
Well, I'm not that concerned about AI.
Hmm.
Sometimes I recognize that even myself, I try to create some scenes as a reference and so on,
Yeah.
and inspiration. And it could be a good source as long as you don't copy it like literally or it um, or it affects your work. It's just
Yeah.
something that is there to help you. But yeah, why not? And about AI concerns with my own work. Not in my case, I think, because I'm the case that with artists that do physical work, because I think that with this digital world full of full of AI and new things, physical work is also getting more important because I think
Mm.
that people sometimes are fed up of so many screens and too much digital. So physical work that you can touch and you can see that it's real becomes more valuable sometimes. Other different cases are artists that I don't know. I know artists who make I don't know like digital images, digital artists, and so
Yeah.
on. They could have more problems because AI can kind of substitute your work or yeah like a but not a physical one. I think.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that with the AI, probably artists will do better in the age of AI, especially in moving forward.
Yeah, there was like a big not a big scandal, but kind of a scandal here in Spain that there was a guy who had used AI because here I don't know if you have to announce a fair or if
Mm.
you have to announce I don't know like the town festivities every
Yeah.
year. Every town have like a brochure. No,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the festivities of this city, the program, and so on. And you have like a brochure that announces it. So there was a guy creating a lot of different uh, brochures for competitions that have announced that all around Spain, and he had earned a lot of money because he had won a lot of awards. And in the end, it was all created by AI, and there was like a big deal of should we really be doing this? Is a
Yeah.
machine creating this for us, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, no. But it is what we're getting into because I have young kids. I sometimes I think about what they'll be doing. It's an interesting exercise to think about. If do you think the art school is still relevant, Adrian, from your point of view? I know you didn't go to art school, but I'm just saying is like a lot of people who are trying to get into art school. Is it still relevant, or should you just practice on your
Yeah,
own?
of course, it's relevant. It is true. It is true. I think at least here in Granada, that on the first year, I think you spend some time drawing from live models and so on. But
Mhm.
in the second year, they already try to take you. I understand because the art world, if you really want to excel to these big fairs like Art
Mhm.
Basel or Arco, that will be the dream of any artist, because there you can sell your work for thousand and thousand of euros in this case or dollars.
Yeah.
But on the second year, they are already trying to be unique, do some conceptual modern work. I value it because I think that I have given the opportunity to learn from all this. So I value every kind of style. In the end, I'm a figurative painting, but I value other kind of artists. But there is like a tendency of wanting to before learning the basics of
Yeah.
drawing and painting, they really
Yeah.
want you to get you to the other kind of work, and sometimes that makes that body of work that these young um, already students
Yeah.
do on the second or third year lack consistency, lack quality, because I mean, I think it's important to learn the basics first, and then you can
Yeah.
go. wherever you want. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why, yeah, art schools should be important in in doing this. Yeah.
yeah. We've been talking about random different subjects about it. So just to before I forget about it, the materials is there. What sort of pigments do you use at the moment, Adrian?
Sorry again. The
So what pigments do you use generally? So what materials we just talk about?
you mean like
What brand and what colors do you generally use?
brands? Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, as brands, I normally use Rembrandt and Winsor and Newton.
Yeah,
For my the majority of my colors.
yeah,
But depends. Sometimes I use specific pigments such as
yeah,
Holbein and so on. Well, different brands, but yeah, mainly those could be the brands. Paper, I normally paint on arches paper because I like the texture.
yeah. So
It's
what
true
sort
that
of surface is it? Is it rough or medium or
arches rough here because I like the texture,
yeah,
and also it comes in big rolls, so I can paint bigger works with it. Later, it's true that I'm using more Saunders waterfall
yeah,
uh, because the wet on wet process keeps a bit longer and the colors don't fade out as in arches. Arches paper is really good when you want to work on a lot of different layers and you want to
yeah,
scratch it and you want to, I don't know, do whatever you want. The paper resists everything. That's the good thing about arches. Sounder is a bit more delicate, but it's good with keeping color up. So I move between these two
yeah.
papers mainly. Yeah.
So what sort of weight of paper do you generally have? 300
Normally
grams?
300 gram,
300 grams. Yeah,
350
that's the standard.
sometimes with this
Yeah,
big roll, but I don't like 600-gram paper so much because yeah, it's too much sometimes and
yeah,
difficult to manage. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I find it 600 grams is just an overkill. You don't need it because you just need, especially from engineering point of view, I try to think about it as efficient as possible, right? 600 is not needed. You can do all the things what you need in a 300 gram,
Yeah,
unless you are trying
yeah,
to
that
do,
could be how you're
yeah,
seeing it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's like, you don't want to spend extra on effort, quality, cost, time if you don't need to, right? You're trying to achieve a good painting. And then what about the brushes, Adrian? What sort of is there a particular type of brush you use more?
I use normally round brushes,
Yeah,
some square one like this one for architectural details and so on.
yeah,
Um, or if I want to, I don't know, make a small, with not so much water. Well, it depends. On the first stages, I use round brushes, sometimes natural hair for
yeah,
uh, they are grabbing more water, like pedigree and so on. Then, then sometimes I switch more to synthetic brushes,
yeah,
like imitation of, yeah, they kind of look like natural hair, but they're a bit more stiff. But because I don't want them to hold that much
yeah,
water, yeah.
yeah. No, but
And then I finish with yeah, with more synthetic brushes and smaller ones.
so I'm just curious, especially because you use such huge formats in plein air. Do you generally
Yeah.
spray the water constantly, or how do you keep the paper wet if it's the weather is too hot at the moment? So do you generally have a spray bottle and then
Well,
you?
just grabbing brushes for you. So, for example, for bigger formats, I have like
Oh,
this
okay.
kind of hake brushes, like
Yeah.
goat here.
Yes. Yes.
Then I can also use a pedigree. This is number 12 from
Yeah.
Winsor
So
and
it's quite
Newton.
big.
This is natural here, so it
Yeah.
grabs a lot of water. It's
Yeah.
for big washes.
Yeah.
And then I go also for big brushes, but this is more synthetic,
Yeah.
kind
So you
of
have more
holds
effort.
a kind of water. But this one I use, for example, when I want to divide more between light and shadow in bigger formats.
Mm.
So it still holds water, but it gives you a little bit more precision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
then I go for more smaller brushes. This is mixed here,
yeah.
Da Vinci Cosmo Top, and this is Scola Perla.
Yeah.
This one I'm more for details and so on.
Yeah.
And then I have the square brushes that I told you before, and they are more better. They are better for if I wanna make squared max and so on, more
Yeah.
architectural features and so yeah.
So you've been teaching for a while, Adrian. So what are the most common things you see people making mistakes, especially in students and You also
Yeah,
another.
yeah. As for drawing, the most common mistakes are perspective and not being perspective. Sometimes they draw the scenes as if they were looking from above,
Yeah,
like the figures in the foreground, they are lower, the heads are lower than the
yeah,
ones in the background. I was thinking, okay, you have to have the figures, all the heads at the same height level. Yeah, yeah, according to horizontal lines is the only way you're like included inside the street and so on.
yeah,
That could be a problem. Perspective drawing,
yeah,
proportions,
hmm,
and so on. Then about painting, not having a clear idea of about values.
yeah,
Sometimes they paint really, really, really pale washes, or sometimes they paint as if it was an oil painting.
yeah,
So you have the both sides. Like balance this. Sometimes is more difficult in the beginning,
yeah.
and well, that will be the
The
normal
most
mistakes
normal
then.
thing. Yeah, but I because you keep seeing so many people, especially because Spain and is so popular with plein air artists, right? Any who's and who of the biggest people, they're always painting in Spain, right? But Spain has such incredible watercolor artists, especially these days with social media and other things. So, how do you treat social media? Is it how much time do you spend on social media? Is it something you manage everything on your own, or do you outsource any of the tasks to other people? Or at the moment, how do you manage?
Yeah, sometimes I feel I spend too much time. Actually, lately I have put like 1 hour reminder on
Yeah,
both on Instagram and on Facebook. And when this out 1 hour reminder pops out, I try to leave it for the next day.
nice.
So normally I try to publish my what I want to publish.
Yeah,
Then I answer something, or
yeah,
if I'm interested to look for something that comes out, and
yeah,
then that is what I try to do because it is true that at least in my case, when you keep on scrolling, then you find out that you've been spending too much time on social media, and this distracts you from doing other things that you should need to do.
yeah,
Work, interact with others, sport, and every day here. When you're bored, okay, let's go for social media,
yeah,
instant gratification. Okay, they are gonna see some likes. Oh, nice! They love my work. No, please leave it for the next day.
yeah,
It's not gonna move from there.
yeah.
Well, currently I manage all on my own.
On your own, okay. Yeah,
I have some people like helping me with a web page because I'm not that good with informatics, but social media is on my own. Yeah.
it's just all your own. So, what are you looking forward for the next year? Because we are coming close to we are when we're recording in December. So what are you looking forward for next year? Do you have some plans for next year, or do you usually plan what needs to be done next year?
Well, already have some workshops booked.
Yeah,
So I have on February, I have one in north part of Spain. On March, I'm going to Alicante, that's in the east.
yeah,
Then I want to go to Fabriano in April.
yeah,
Yeah, they have invited me probably. Uh, So I'll be doing something there. It's not totally
yeah,
clear, but probably I'll be doing some kind of demo or something. Let's see.
yeah,
And yeah, I'll normally also do some exhibitions. This year I'm really tired because I worked a lot. I did
mhm,
two individual exhibitions that took a lot of time from me.
yeah,
They went good, but sometimes you spend 2 3 months working and without
yeah,
stop, and
yeah,
it's a lot. So I don't know if I'll be doing individual exhibitions, group shows, of course, because they're always now in December I have one here in a gallery that is preparing one to works and with other fellow artists, and that is easier to manage.
yeah.
And I'm going to Prague in September to do a workshop as well. And that's it. And then I will have this normal schedule of planner contests when the season begins,
Yeah.
my online lessons, and well, keep on work will keep on coming, hopefully, and that's it.
No, no, no. I mean, your work is fantastic. As I said, it's like I like. I'm partially partial for cityscapes, and I like cityscapes which uh,
Yeah,
artists and other things, right? I'm very fond of a certain type of painting, and then your style kind of fits within well within that. And then again, it's just interesting to see how much work it takes because when I look at watercolor, right, what people see is just the tip of the iceberg. There's like 90% of the work is done, which people don't see. It's a lot of work. Is there any artist you admire, follow at the moment? You're looking forward for
Yeah, of course, a
their
lot of
work. You're
artists. Well, about the style that I like, I normally like. I don't like watercolors that are all wet and wet. I don't like
yeah,
watercolors that are all dry and dry. I like when
yeah,
watercolors you can take the maximum out of the medium. So I like to create a lot of texture. I like to
hmm,
create contrast, wet
yeah,
and wet effects, clean washes. So I like watercolors that use a combination of all these to exploit
hmm,
the medium, you know. So I will talk about, yes, references. Well, I love Chin Wei's works, Joseph Puchvich, Castagnet, Andy Evansen as well for his
yeah,
approach of simplicity. Uh, all the ones as Sargent, of course.
hmm,
Also, some of Andrew Wyeth's work. Edward Siago was
yeah.
an English watercolorist,
Oh, here's yeah, yeah,
amazing how Edward Siago, yeah, how he simplified the scenes and so on. Well, a lot of there. I don't really have to go that far because here in Spain we have a lot of great watercolorists. Actually,
yeah.
there was the one guy who lived in Granada called Rafael Bonillo, who was amazing with his contrasts. Here in Spain, we also have really good watercolorists such as
Mhm.
Cesc, for example, is really good.
Yeah,
Uh, well, Pablo Ruben with his waters.
yeah.
In
His
my case,
reflective.
I don't like to be that hyper realistic. I like a more loose approach, but of course, the quality of the work is obvious.
Yeah,
Uh, Francisco Castro, he's amazing as well. I don't know if you know him, but he's one of the, yeah, for me, one of the best here in Spain. And well, right now there are a lot of more of them, but
yeah,
well, here in Granada, Manolo Jimenez, he was. I don't attended his workshop directly because I came on the scene a bit later than some of my mates, but
yeah,
he's been there always, and I've tried to. He had a really nice way of simplifying scenes and clean and big washes and so on. So
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. But Adrian, next time if you're doing a plein air, just hanging out with your friends and other things, I would love to join if it's not an imposition because it's like I just want to do more plein air. And is there anything else you want to share? Because I think I just want to be mindful about we're coming close to
yeah, if
an
you
hour.
come to Spain, yes, if you come to the area, just let me know, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
No, I well, yes, it's a thing that we always say that, for example, from my point of view, watercolor is still not so valued as other techniques.
mm,
And in my case, I am trying to, well, me and of course a lot of other artists, especially with big formats entering like not only in watercolor competitions, but I try to enter my work in these big shows around Spain, like in contemporary awards and so on, and,
yeah,
and on galleries. And yeah, little by little, I'm trying. Well, we are trying to put watercolor there, because other thing about painting such big formats is to say, okay, this is not only a small sketch, a drawing. This is a final work that can have the uh, like the weight and the strength as any other medium,
yeah,
and yeah, I think that it's little by little things are changing, and that's also a beautiful task, because um, I've been painting mixed media techniques before, and I think, of course, it's really difficult to be a good oil painter, but that will be like not the easy way, but it will be easier to get recognition from other kind of artists if I
yeah,
will stick to oil paintings and so on,
yeah.
especially doing this kind of big formats. But with watercolor, I think there is a long way to go, but I'll try. Let's keep on trying.
No, but it's a fantastic medium. Especially, I think I was reading your about you. One of the points which made sense is like, and you said that I don't know whether it's true. Watercolor suits me because I'm a little more impatient. So because it's like you can do a lot more quicker.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a fantastic medium. But again, Adrian, I just want to thank you for making time. It's
No,
such
it
fun.
was a pleasure. I mean, I'm at home. Of course, I have a lot of work to do always, but
Yeah,
I consider this a nice chat. But it's also part of my work, and
yeah,
yeah, to being able to chat with you and to explain my point of view
yeah.
in watercolor, and it's of course a pleasure. So don't worry about it. It's been a really nice time.
No, thank you so much. And where do people easily reach you? So, what's the best way to people for reach you, Adrian?
Ah, well, I have a web page. We are doing some changes, but it's accessible. I
Yeah,
also have social media.
it's been
We are
fantastic.
there. I'm always trying to make noise on the. Yeah, it's sad, but nowadays, if you are not if you don't have a web page or social media, it's like you don't exist. It's
Yeah,
sad, but
yeah.
it's like this.
But that's the way it is at the moment. But also the good side is there's a lot of artists. You now these days you can know somebody from all over the world these days a lot more easier because of the social media. So there is this like a
Yeah, yeah,
double-edged
that's a
sword.
good thing.
Yeah.
That's a
But
really good thing.
I just want to thank again. I just want to don't want to take up more of your time.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Have a good day, and thank you again for talking, Adrian.
You too. You too.